Hey, what's up? I'm here with Young Empires. I got Matt and Aaron, guys. Thanks for coming in.
Hey, thanks a lot for having us.
Totally. Hey, dude.
Hey, what's up?
Okay, so right off the bat, I guess the first question I wanted to ask you guys is, you guys are from Toronto, right?
We're actually from all different cities in Canada. We met here in Toronto.
Oh, okay. So how long have you guys all lived here? Well, I guess just give us a sort of a history on, how you guys initially hooked up and formed the band in Toronto.
Yeah, well, we met about 2.5 years ago. We all played in different music groups, and we just all came to meet each other, I guess, through Craigslist or something like that.
Seriously?
Yeah.
Cool. You actually formed a band on Craigslist? It's fantastic.
Somewhat. It was kind of, we'd all kind of just moved to Toronto from other cities. We were all kind of in other bands that had just broken up. So Jake put an ad on Craigslist. I met Jake through that. We had auditioned a whole bunch of other singers and drummers that we met. None of them worked out. Jake had met Matt about 6 months previous when they were in other bands. They just kind of crossed paths, and Jake kind of remembered Matt. So he said, hey, I remember this guy, kind of reached out to him. We literally all met for beers. I think we played a show 2 weeks later at Wrong Bar. We opened for like a big band from the UK. So it's all gone really, really fast.
Well, just coming back to the Craigslist thing, I have to ask this. Did you get any like really creepy people who's your creepiest applicant?
I don't know about creepy. I remember the first time Jake and I met, we met at Red Room, and I think him and I were drinking beer like a normal person would at somewhere like Red Room, and one of the guys we met he ordered tea and like organic biscuits or something like that. So I'm not going to say people that drink tea are creepy, but when you meet at kind of a dingy bar and someone orders tea, it's
a health nut.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm not going to say it was creepy, but we had some interesting people like that. So
fair enough. I guess I kind of skews my next question, but I just wondered, because I thought you guys were all from Toronto, I just wondered if that at all affected the world sound of the band, because I mean, Toronto's a really multicultural city, and I don't know, I just kind of wondered, totally out of curiosity.
I think you picked that up just living here and, eating the different cuisines and,
There's always a party,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very much that.
And like Aaron's lived in the UK and in LA before. I've lived in Brussels and Paris, and so you pick that up traveling too and living abroad.
Now you guys mentioned it's been going really fast, and do you feel that momentum with the band? Are you riding the wave? Do you feel like it's picking up?
I think things have definitely picked up here domestically in Canada and in the US, so that's really nice for us. I mean, when the band first formed and we put songs onto the blogs and the internet, things kind of spun a little bit out of control overseas, and it's nice to see that now, it's in your home turf that you're getting the cred that you deserve. I don't know if we deserve it or not, but
very hip hop of you.
Yes.
Did you guys? How many songs did you guys have in the can when it started to pick up? Because you didn't have a full length out, right?
We have enough songs for a full length. We just didn't want to present it as a full length. We put it this way: we have more songs that you will never hear than songs that will be released right now. And I think that's why it's taken us like 2.5 years. Sounds like a long time, and it's because we're very particular about how we're presenting this band, especially the first thing you put out. We're very brand conscious, and we very much want it to be, here's how we're establishing this band. So we kind of wanted the right combination of songs that would go together. We have other songs that we like, and we have other songs that we play live, but we didn't necessarily want to put them on Wake All My Youth because it just didn't make sense with what that was. So I think we have songs that we've had for 2 years kicking around that might be on the next album. We might put out another EP. We're trying to be very kind of creative about how we release music and just kind of present it as the proper package. So I think these 7 songs made sense to present as a package for the first thing that people will hear of as Young Empires.
Well, that was my next question, is the number of songs on the EP. Why not just put out 12, 13 songs, but you already answered that, so I'm not going to ask it.
And a lot of it is kind of the idea of EP versus album is we feel like if you're going to call something an album, it should be a cohesive album. When we put out an album, we want it to be, we started it and finished it and had the intention of that being an album. What we have right now is a great package of songs. It's kind of the songs we wrote as we're finding our sound and kind of establishing what Young Empires is. So we didn't want to call this an album in that we didn't write it and like start and finish it as an album. We kind of started writing songs and said, we like this song, let's ditch these other 3 songs. So I think the next thing we do that will be an album will be more, we'll go to South America for 6 months and actually sit down and do a proper album start to finish and come home and say, here's an album.
Did the hype make you guys think about it more? Do you know what I mean, with all these people and the expectations now that are with the band?
Yeah, I think it definitely. I mean, when we started the band, we never would have expected to, to be here on your show or to be doing other shows.
Yeah, you guys really.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's a good pressure when people, it forces you to take things more seriously, to be more thoughtful about the way you present yourself, and to be more thoughtful about songwriting. It's not about making noise in a garage anymore. It's, your fans expect something more than that.
What makes a song sexy? Because a lot of people say your band is sexy.
I mean, I like to think that the multicultural element of it, in the sense that, we're drawing influences from all sorts of different styles of music, is what makes it sexy. But I know our bass player thinks that it's him.
It's all him.
It's all the low end. It's the low end rumble.
Yeah, it's the bass. It's the heavy bass.
I guess I should ask about two of the songs that people have heard already. I mean, the album comes out tomorrow in Canada, and well, I guess right away, how good does it feel to be on the cusp of it coming out?
It's a huge relief, and release, I guess. The fact that it's done and that we get to tour it, and we can creatively step back and get ready for the next project, which is the full length album. So yeah, I think there's a great sense of relief.
Yeah, it kind of gives these songs a new life. We've been playing a lot of these songs for 2.5 years, and now that it's actually released as a package, we're kind of seeing. It's fun to play shows and see people recognize the songs now and see people know the words, and it makes it exciting for us to play them again. Some of these songs, something like White Doves, we've had that for 2.5 years, and like you were asking before, if it's pressure, it's not so much pressure, it's more really encouraging when people know those songs and love those songs. Like we've had that, we put White Doves out, we tried to put it out as a single in Europe and the UK 2 years ago, and nobody liked it. They wanted more Rain of Gold and more Glory of the Night and stuff like that. So it's, to see a song like that pick up in Canada and see people sing along at shows, it takes a song that could be kind of boring to play live that we've played thousands of times, and it kind of has this new energy, and it makes it, I think we're all really excited about playing these songs and seeing people's reaction to these songs. So it's just kind of giving it a new life now that it's out on a release and kids kind of know the songs and recognize them. That kind of makes it really fun for you to play live and kind of gives it a new energy.
Cool. What can you say about Enter Through the Sun? Because that's another song people have heard, right? And then you can just tell us about that song. I mean, you already mentioned White Doves, but
yeah. I think Enter Through the Sun is another song that was kind of in the second wave. That was kind of after we'd gone to Europe and kind of been given the next big thing tag in Europe and done that whole deal. We kind of came back.
That's crazy, man.
Yeah, that was so early. Like our first show outside of Toronto was in London, England. It was, I think, in our first 10 shows we were headlining in London. So it was kind of crazy. And that was, like you were asking before, that was kind of when we had come back to Canada and said, let's ignore all this hype. Let's get back to making songs as a band and make songs that we know and believe they're good. So I think that was probably the first song that we wrote as the second wave of songs in this band, that we kind of wrote it and said, okay, now we're on to something. Now this feels right, and this is how this band is going to sound moving forward. So that was kind of the second, that kind of reestablished the sound of Young Empires, and it's kind of in that thing.
Did you guys have a moment where, where it became special? You just knew being in this band was special? Was there like something that happened, or during a live show, or somebody wrote something where you were just like, okay, this is totally to the next level? Because you mentioned you've been in bands before, right?
Yeah,
I think this band has allowed myself and Aaron to both play in rooms that are bigger than any other rooms that we've ever played in, with bigger sound and more people. I know that one of the highlights for me was opening up for Chromeo, and just walking out in Metropolis in Montreal and just having everyone erupt in cheers for the opening band, which is rare. But I think just the energy of the crowd, that's what real musicians live off of, and that feeling, that excitement.
The live show is really important for you guys. I mean, you were just talking about keeping it fresh. Why is it so important? Why is that the be-all, end-all of the band?
I think nowadays it's, especially now with downloading music and things like that, you kind of have to know kids are going to hear your music and maybe download 1 or 2 songs on their iPod and have it on when they're at the gym. But the live show is really the chance you have to kind of impact people and connect with people. And I think we want to be great at both. Like, we put a lot of time and a lot of effort into production. It's taken us 2.5 years to put out what we wanted to put out. But at the same time, I think the live show is really important to us. That's just really the chance to get in front of people and to kind of and it's just an energy. You kind of like have a chance to really affect people. I think we like the idea that people see the show and go home talking about it and remembering it. And I think that's really the only chance you have, because when you put out songs, you don't get to see people's reaction to it. You don't get to know how they're affected by it. At a live show, you do, and that's really, we love that opportunity. We feel so lucky to get to play in front of hundreds and thousands of people, and it's an amazing experience, and we really want to share that with people.
It's just a great way to connect with your fans too, and we do try to take the time to meet our fans after the show and talk to them and thank them for their support, because I feel like in the internet age it's a lot more difficult to keep that fan or retention, to keep them loyal fans for the duration of your musical career. And I think by being able to talk to your fans after the show and connect with them that way on a personal level means a lot more for them.
Did you guys have bands when you were growing up that did that for you? Do you know?
Sucked.
Did you ever meet?
You know what? I used to have a pen pal thing with a few Canadian indie bands growing up, with Sloan, this band called the Inbreds, and with this band called the Super Friends. I'd send them like fan notes, and they'd write back and send like sometimes they'd send like unreleased like home demos that were signed and stuff like that. So that was really cool, and we try to do the same thing. Some little fans that we have, far off in the world, in places that we can't really go and tour at as easily. We'll send them some swag in the mail and stuff like that. Yeah,
it's different now too with social networking, where when we were kids, we didn't have that. We didn't have Facebook, and we didn't have a way to write there. I think for us as a band now, we really try to use those tools to connect with our fans. So some kid in South America can write to us and say, hey, I really like your music, and we can take 5 minutes of our day to write them back and say, hey, thanks for the support. When we were kids, you couldn't really do that. It's, if you love, like, other than being a pen pal, like, there's going to be kids that are 15 that are going to say, what's a pen pal? Because they've never heard of that. So it's one of those things, it's a different age, and it's a lot easier to connect with your fans, but in a way it's a lot easier to kind of forget about that. So we're really trying to be thankful of our fans and really take the time to utilize those tools and kind of connect with people. And
there's a flip side to that coin. There's the hater side of that coin, because now everybody can say something about your music online. How do you guys deal with that side of it? Because I hate it.
You know what? That's something that you can't control as a band, and if you focus on it too much, then you'll lose sight of what your pursuit is. Haters are going to be haters. There's nothing you can do to stop them, and I think personally I've learned to accept that, and it's totally fine. I think one way that we try to get around that is we don't want every song to necessarily sound the same. We like to hit a lot of different styles of music and kind of all bring it into one package. So you can come to a live show and you might not like the first track, but then we might get you on the second track. And
I think I always said jokingly early on as a band, you don't know you're starting to do well until you have haters, until you read bad reviews. It's kind of like when you're a new band and people are just kind of feeling you out, the only people who are going to write something or talk to you are going to be nice. So it's when you get to the stage that you're starting to do well, that's when you kind of get the negative reviews and people feel like they're allowed to be negative. So I think that's kind of a glass half full way to do it, but you kind of look at it and say, oh, people are starting to not like us. That means we're actually starting to do well. It's almost like a measure. When you get to when you're Kings of Leon, it's easier to hate on you than to like you. So it's almost like the better you do, the more negative press there's going to be, and you just kind of have to take it in stride. We believe in what we do and we love what we do. We know there's going to be people who don't like our band, and that's fine, and that's all part of the game.
What are you guys listening to now? Some favorite bands on the iPod.
I'm really into this band from Sweden called I Break Horses. I like them a lot. I like the Antlers a lot. Their album was one of my favorites last year. Jake, the bass player, and I are both into a band called Woo Life a lot from the UK.
Like Woo Life, as in like Wu-Tang, or
like WU and then LYF. They're kind of like punk rock vocals with they're kind of like explosions in the sky with like a punk rock singer. Okay, that's the best way I could describe them.
Okay. Matt?
I'm liking the new Black Keys record. I'm listening to a local band, Brave Station. They just put out a new. Actually, I don't know if it's out yet, but I've heard the advanced copy of it. We're caught up in the momentum of things. It's hard to really keep on top of new music. We played with a really cool band in the UK last year called Bastille, who have not yet released anything in North America. But
It gets weird when you're on tour. You end up listening more to the bands you play with because you don't, like, we're huge music nerds, but when you're on tour every day, you don't necessarily have time to look up bands. So it's like this whole tour we've been driving, we've been listening to like the top 100 hits of the 80s and Fleetwood Mac and like Aerosmith and like old stuff because it's just, you throw on the iPod and put something on, and it's, when you're playing music all day, you just kind of want something that's in the background sometimes. So it gets, the better you do as a band, the harder it gets to discover other bands. You kind of get in this bubble of like driving from venue to venue, and it gets tougher to like have time to go online and read blogs and do that kind of stuff. So
I guess last question would be, record drops tomorrow in Canada, then there's the international release, and then I guess it's, you guys are just going to tour your asses off?
Yeah. We've got a Canadian tour going on right now, and unfortunately, for this particular tour, we're not going to be out west, but we're hoping to be out west later on in the year, and we're going to be starting March 1st, where our American tour starts. So we're going to be driving down the coast and driving over to Texas, to Austin, to South by, and then we're coming back up for the CMW here in Toronto. And I think there's some dates with Dragonette that are coming up as well.
Yeah, we never know what's official that we can say and not, but we're definitely starting in New York, going all the way down to South by Southwest in Austin, coming back for CMW, and then we'll be playing. It's for sure.
Any dates with Bedouin Soundclash? Because I know you're on Pirates Blend.
I know there's a CMW show with Jay Malinowski's new band. I believe they're called The Dead Coast. It's him and Wade from For Alexis on Fire, and now he's singing with Gallows. Yeah. I know they're doing a CMW show that I believe it's the Pirates Blend Showcase that I'm not 100% sure if we're playing it or not. I believe we are. It might be an unannounced show, so it's, I don't know if we'll be on the poster and stuff, but
stay tuned, people.
We would love to play with Bedouin. They're great. We love them as guys, and we love them as a band, and we'd love to do a show with them. They're probably too big for us.
Is it cool being on that label? You know, I mean, it was cool that they announced that they had one.
Yeah. It's amazing. The whole experience has been great. You hear so many horror stories about bands saying, we got signed and they took 2 years to put our album and made us change it. It's been nothing but positive things for us. They've been really supportive of us. They kind of let us do what we do and let us be the band we want to be. But at the same time, if we go to them and say, hey, like, what do you think of this? They always give us their opinion. And it's just been a really, really good partnership. It's been a hugely positive experience for us.
Cool. Well, guys, all the best. I hope the positivity continues in your direction.
Thanks a lot for having us.
Thanks, guys.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Thank you.